Detroit's 3 casinos on the clock. Another labor contract is set to expire with workers threatening to walk out. Plus, WMU students helped solve 2 cold cases with the help of Michigan State Police. The unique partnership they've now formed. Kim.
We've got a lot of clouds and a few sprinkles to start the work week, but sunshine and warmer weather right around the corner. We'll talk about it coming up first at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Another strike could soon come to Detroit, this time targeting 3 casinos. In just a matter of hours, the current labor agreement will expire, putting thousands of workers in the position of potentially walking off the job tomorrow. Detroit MGM Grand, Hollywood at Greektown, and the Motor City Casino are all facing a midnight deadline. There are several unions representing nearly 4,000 Detroit casino workers. The core issues for the unions are higher wages, health care costs, an improved 401k plan, and more input from workers regarding adoption of new technologies that could affect job security.
What's the biggest issue right now?
Respect.
Tell me about that.
I think every employee should be able to come to work and have dignity and respect and not be mistreated or feel like they're in a bully environment.
Now, if no deal is reached by the end of the day, we are told workers won't immediately walk off, but rather would wait until noon tomorrow if no deal is made overnight. Now, we'll keep you updated on how those talks progress. Also today, Ford's executive chair is speaking out about labor strikes for the first time. Bill Ford says United Auto Workers Union walkouts are making the big 3 U.S. automakers less competitive. He says Toyota, Honda, Tesla, and Chinese companies are benefiting from the dispute.
We can stop this now. And I call on my great UAW colleagues, some of whom I've known for decades. Many are close personal friends. We need to come together to bring an end to this acrimonious round of talks. I still believe in a bright future, one that we can build together.
Now, we know Ford is making a record offer to the UAW, but the union says it wants more. It is now striking at Ford's most profitable plant and says it could target more facilities. So for more, let's bring in Rod Maloney for a little more context on all of this. So Rod, to begin, what did Bill Ford Jr. hope to accomplish with the statement today?
Well, I think that he has felt that Shawn Fain has had an open field to run in over the last month with many differing Facebook Live posts and other interviews that he's done where he has called the management of the domestic 3 the enemy. Bill Ford says we aren't the enemy. We're on the same team. We just need to get to a contract here so we can move forward and not have to face the competition, the bare knuckle competition that is out there. And Shawn Fain is just not buying any of that. He is still pressing hard. And in fact, in his statement today, he threatened to bring down the Ford Rouge plant. That's the crown jewel, really. I mean, yes, the Kentucky truck plant, very profitable, very important. But the F-150 plant, that's a whole other level of pain for Ford.
And Rod, obviously, he's talking about the plant there. Did he make any kind of comment in terms of Ford's remarks today? Has he responded, Shawn Fain?
Yeah, he did respond, and he said that Bill Ford knows how to solve this. Call up Jim Farley, break out the checkbook, pony up, and get this over with. I mean, he is not backing down one iota. And again, he believes that that competition isn't really the problem here. It's Ford and the domestic 3 not paying enough.
No, obviously you're on the picket line there, talking to folks there. What are workers saying this afternoon in terms of what has happened today and what's been said?
Yeah. Sure. Well, it's interesting. Many of them did not hear what Bill Ford had to say. They were coming out here to be on the picket line to cover their scheduled shift. So we had to tell them what Bill Ford said, and it's interesting. Very few of them were taking much of what he had to say to heart. Their attitude is, look, cost of living is going up. We're not getting the kinds of raises we need. We just want a fair contract. Yes, do we want this to end? Certainly. But they said we're going to be out here until they get the contract that they feel they deserve.
All right, Rod, we always appreciate it. We will be checking back with you later this evening. Other news tonight, this afternoon, I should say, a woman is shot and killed during a baby shower on Detroit's east side. This happened on Edmore just after 7 last night. Witnesses tell police it started with an argument between 2 women, but eventually one of the guests pulled out a gun and began shooting. Family members have identified the shooting victim as 51-year-old Phoebe Williams.
There's kids in the house. Everybody, it's a lot of people in the house. Why would you pull a gun?
Later, the woman accused of pulling the trigger went to DPD's 9th precinct to turn herself in, but the victim's son followed her and then ran over her in the parking lot. Local 4's Damon Fernandez is following this case, and we'll have more when you join us tonight at 5. Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy announces charges against the Farmington Hills man accused of making threats online targeting Palestinian Americans in Dearborn. Carl Mintz faces 2 charges, including 1 felony count of threat of terrorism. He was arrested by Dearborn police at his home last Thursday and is due in court later this month. Americans are among the thousands of foreign national Palestinians waiting to leave Gaza through Egypt right now. And as they wait, Israeli troops are standing ready to attack. Let's bring in Devin Skillion. He is following this story and the confusion around in terms of this Egyptian border and the crossing, how long it's going to be open, closed, etc.
It's the question of the day, Karen, because right now that border remains closed, nothing going in, nothing going out. Until Egypt agrees to open its border, thousands wait in southern Gaza with food, water, and medicine dangerously scarce. Adding to the chaos, the fighting grows even more intense. Israel has now ordered 28 villages near the Lebanese border to evacuate. This comes after Israel says its border posts were attacked by the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, which is considered by many to be an ally of Hamas. So far, thousands of lives have been lost on both sides of this conflict, but experts say a ground invasion by Israel would lead to many more deaths and injuries. But still, Israeli defense forces say they are determined to take the fight to Hamas.
So we are trying to shift people in order to distinct between the terrorists themselves and non-combatants, between Hamas and innocent civilians. We're trying to make a differentiation so that we can go in and destroy the bastion of barbarism of Hamas. We are determined that Hamas will never, ever use Gaza as a staging ground for massacres in Israel.
So Israeli troops are now on the Gaza border. They're just waiting for word to attack. So far, 360,000 reservists have been called up. Israeli officials have promised the airstrikes and fighting will not stop until Hamas is driven completely from power.
And in terms of what goes on overseas, obviously that has an impact here in the U.S.
That's exactly right. In fact, the FBI Director Christopher Wray says the agency has seen an increase in reported threats in the U.S. following ever since this started with Hamas last Saturday. Another senior FBI official says while most of those threats have not been deemed to be credible, Muslim Jewish institutions have been targeted. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have been warning law enforcement agencies about possible threats, what steps they should be taking. Yesterday on Flashpoint, Senator Gary Peters talked about there is federal money available for churches, any of these faith groups, based groups that may need help in securing their facilities.
It's important to know.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Devin. Well, the escalating tensions have caused oil prices to increase. Crude futures rose as high as $91.20 a barrel in international markets. That's up from $90.89. Some analysts expect oil prices to hit $100 a barrel if the fighting continues. It is a busy day on Capitol Hill. This is a live look out over Washington, D.C. as Representative Jim Jordan races to lock down support for his bid for Speaker ahead of tomorrow's vote on the House floor. But as of this afternoon, a small group of Republican lawmakers are committed to blocking Jordan's path on the floor. The Ohio Republican can afford to lose only 4 Republicans if every member votes because the Speaker needs a majority of the full House to be elected. But last week, 55 Republicans voted against him. Today, Governor Whitmer announced that over 500 illegal guns have been taken off the streets as part of Operation Safe Neighborhoods. Now, since the operation began, law enforcement officials conducted 4,572 check-ins with felony offenders, and that led to 503 illegal guns taken off the street. Officers also recovered illegal drugs and ammunition. We can't deny it's been a beautiful fall so far. Viewers like Michael are flooding Click On with their My Pics of the colorful trees and sights around Metro Detroit. Trying to see, there we go. This picture comes from West Bloomfield. We can see those colors changing. Jay Lewis also sent us this awesome shot of a cardinal hanging out in the backyard. Time now for our first look at the forecast. It has been kind of really just so pretty and peaceful to watch these colors change, Kim.
It is every year. This year a little bit later. If you've noticed, there's still a lot of green out there. So we've got partial color near peak, though, north and west of Detroit, including Waterford, Howell, up to Flint and Lapeer. But watch what happens next week. Next week we're near peak, and then we quickly are at peak. About the first week of November into the second week will be past peak. So it's a very short season, but we are finally starting to see some really beautiful fall color. We're also seeing a little rain right now on Exact Track 4D radar. Just a few sprinkles, especially in northern parts of Macomb County up into St. Clair County, and it's cool up there as well. 49 in Pontiac, also in Lapeer, 51 in Mount Clemens. It's a little bit cooler in some spots than it was yesterday, but pretty much the same. Now tomorrow we'll make it right back to 56, but tomorrow we'll get a little bit of sunshine, and then it gets a little warmer from there, and we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes.